TinkerCAD tips. Welcome back. This is part 2 where I've been showing you how I've been making these multi-part, multicolor 3D objects in TinkerCAD. Let's do a quick recap. We started all of this by coming out to Google and finding a good image, which we were then able to save from here back to my folder. From there, we went to this site called vectorizer.io, where we put the image in, changed a few settings. We defined the number of colors that we wanted to be in our resulting vector image. I then was able to capture this using the snipping tool, saving that back to my PC, then coming over here to our old friend ping to svg.com, where we put that image in. We defined the colors that we wanted. We clicked generate. We then ended up with this image here that I was able to download, and in Inkscape, I was then able to save it into these individual SVGs. So that's a quick recap. Now let's jump into our new project and start bringing these in. Here's our new project in TinkerCAD. I also have open my folder where these SVGs are. I'm going to be clicking on these and using them as a reference to set the colors as I bring each one in. So let's start over here. We're going to click on Import, choose a file. I'm going to come into my tutorial folder. I'm just going to do these one by one. We'll start with path0.svg. Now this is going to be 450 millimeters wide. Let's go ahead and change this to 50%. It'll fit better out on the work plane that I have defined. We're going to click import, give that a moment. Once it's imported, it'll look like this. You always want to click on it. We're going to increase the quality up to 24. And then we also want to change the color. So if we come back here, we notice this is sort of a salmon color. Let's come back. We'll find a fairly close preset here. We'll click on Custom, and we can make a few changes to the color here. There we go. That one's pretty close. Zoom out. Let's go ahead and move this one off to the side, and we'll do the next one. Click on Import, choose a file. There's the next one, 50%. Import. There's the next. We'll select on it, increase the quality, reference the color here. This is sort of a blue. Click here, go to our presets. There's a blue that's pretty close. And we're going to do this for all 6 of them. Once we have all of the imported SVGs, we need to do a quick alignment, and these reference markers up here will make this super easy. Now I can either lasso select all of these, or I can simply hit Control A. We're going to click on alignment. We're going to align them on the middle in this direction, and then we want to align on this back edge, not the middle here. We want to do this back edge. There we go. Let's bring this out to the center. And that's how it looks when everything is lined up together. Now, the one thing that we're going to want to do if we want to use this in other work is get rid of these reference markers up here. Let me show you how to do that. We'll bring out a whole box over here. Let's zoom in a bit. Let's get that lined up. Right over that. Select it. Let's bring it down just a wee bit. Now we want to make a duplicate of that. Snap grid is set to 1 millimeter, so I'm going to just shift cursor over. I'm going to zoom in here, make sure that I'm not touching the artwork part of it. There we go. Bring them down a wee bit. Okay, now the thing to remember here is we're going to need to add these whole blocks to this artwork just one at a time. If we were to group all these together, then all of these colors would become a single object. You would no longer have the separation. So I'm going to take these two whole boxes, I'm going to select the two of them, I'm going to group them together, I'm going to create a duplicate, I'm going to shift nudge those up. All right, now I'm going to select on this pair, and I'm just going to select one of these other colors. I'm going to hold down shift and select the blue. I'm going to group those together. I'm going to hit Control H to hide it, and we have to do this one at a time for each of the colors. So select the whole boxes, duplicate, we'll shift nudge them into place, shift select one of the other colors, group it together, Control H to hide it. Now we're going to do that for each of the colors. Shift select, group, hide. Then when you get to the last color, there's only one remaining here. We don't need to make a duplicate of this. We'll just move it into place. Shift select, group those together. Now that we have that, now we can hit Control Shift H, and that will unhide all of those other colors. So there you have it. This happens to be all 10 millimeters in height. We could actually, if we wanted to, bring this down to 1 millimeter, whatever you chose to do with it. But now each of these is an individual object that if you were to export this, if you were to click all of this, let's drop that, Control A, and we were to do an export. If you export this as an OBJ file, you get a zip. And within that zip of the files that you can import like into Bamboo Studio, these colors would already be assigned, and then you could assign your various spools in your CFS or your AMS to each of these colors. Now obviously you could choose to make this orange part blue if that's what it's assigned to in your AMS. But there you go. There's a quick way to take a colorful image, something like this, go through a bit of reduction, use this vectorizer.io tool, clip all of that. We can come over here to ping to SVG, then we can use Inkscape to take this apart, and after a little bit of work we can end up with a really cool 3D object that could be printed in multiple colors. Questions, comments, hey, you know where to drop those. Always love to hear your guys' suggestions for other tutorials that I can present. In the meantime, hope you all have a great weekend.